I have been thinking a lot about Vash and Knives and body horror. Specifically, Knives' complete lack of reaction to his own grotesque body. Because horrific things happen to Knives, to his body, throughout the entire manga. Death, rebirth, fusing, morphing, burning, and coming back. Many of these changes happen of his own volition, but many others without his direct consent. But regardless of his control of the situation, he never cares that his body is changing shape into something distorted or gross or other. Other characters or in other stories, if this were to happen to someone, they would feel not themselves. They would feel violated. They would want to go back to the way they were. But Knives stays completely unbothered. And I think it's because it's just not horror to him. It doesn't register as body horror. It's just him. That is part of him. What his body is doing is like part of his ability as a plant. He will morph his own body to suit his needs or join his sisters to himself because those are natural functions of his independent body. He doesn't have a baseline of a normal form because normal would mean human. So none of these changes are grotesque to him. He goes so far as to like absorb a dead plant into his body because he just doesn't see her as disgusting. He sees her as a tragedy and a victim and another Tesla, but there's no taboo violated for him in joining himself to this corpse. Even when Alendra thinks it's disgusting, it's just a complete non-issue to Knives. But Vash wants to pass as human. I don't think it goes so far as him wanting to be human, but he wants to appear human, to pass as normal, to be non-threatening in general society. He spent a lot of time with humans, so he has a sense or a feeling for what is normal, what is baseline. And any reminder that he is not human feels disgusting to him, is like an invasion of his body, right? It's something he doesn't want. He doesn't even choose to heal his own body because, and part of that could be, ideological, wanting to keep a map of his scars to atone for what he's done. But I think also it's that healing ability is a reminder that he is inhuman. The feeling of his body doing something that's not human, even as benign as healing itself or sprouting feathers to protect him or other people, feels violating. It becomes body horror to him because it is not normal for a human. And even when it's just his feathers sprouting out to protect him, he hates it because it makes people scared of him. It outs him as inhuman. It makes people hate him. And he hates it because he can't control it. It's like a cross-species dysphoria because he only feels that way about himself. He's never disgusted by Knives, even when Knives looks disgusting. And Vash thinks his sisters are beautiful. But he can't extend that same belief or that same point of view towards himself because the times that his power has been used, the times that his plantness has been on display, the times his body has used its powers and changed shape, it's been against his will. It's been because Knives forced it to happen, or because his pain or his traumatic memories were so strong that he couldn't hold it in anymore. And something that he feels is grotesque, like the angel arm, is actually just a normal function of his plant body. But he can't see it as anything other than horror because it is wrapped up, like his identity as a plant, his planthood is wrapped up in the trauma of Knives' assaults and Vash's unwilling use as a weapon. The one time he uses his angel arm on purpose is to rescue himself and Wolfwood from the arc in Volume 8. And it's a complete last resort for him because he had nothing left and they would have died horribly if he hadn't. So he used it willingly, but was it willingly if it was his only option? And it's so interesting to me that the plants objectively, like the dependent plants objectively, are body horror to the viewer, to the reader. I mean, they have additional body parts and angel wings and those appendages that look like babies or rotisserie chickens growing off of them. But neither the story nor any of the human characters are ever really disgusted by the dependent plants. The plants are treated usually with reverence or with callousness, but never disgust. Disgust towards plants is an emotion reserved for humans' reactions to Vash and Vash's feelings towards himself. People are scared and disgusted by the arc, but they also don't know what it is. They don't know that it's plants. So I think that Knives is completely unbothered by his own body horror because he has a healthier relationship to his selfhood as a plant. He is bodily free in ways that Vash could never be. It's like the one way that Knives is more well-adjusted than Vash. He has no qualms about his identity as a plant. He is comfortable in that. Like, he can't understand why Vash would want to suppress this part of him. The beautiful and natural and powerful things that his body can do, that his body was made to do. Knives knows that they are wonderful, beautiful, powerful beings. But Vash can't accept that. From Knives' point of view, why won't Vash let his body do what it was meant to do? So I think that Knives, when he cut off Vash's arm, did not intend to permanently maim Vash. Because plants self-heal. From Knives' perspective, cutting off his brother's arm was a temporary injury, like a bruise or maybe a broken bone. It should heal. Vash can heal it. It's something his body can do naturally, and in fact, it's probably Vash's conscious choice not to fix it. I think Knives probably expected Vash, after his arm was cut off, to calm down and regrow his arm and not really worry about it. It makes many of their confrontations feel very different when you realize that Knives is actually completely reasonable for thinking Vash is sick in the head for being like 90% scar tissue and still missing his arm after decades. Because for a plant, that's ridiculous. It's like if you got into a fist fight with your brother as kids and broke his glasses, and 50 years later, you find out that he's been going around blind all this time because he just refuses to get new glasses. It's not a reasonable choice by any means. And the one time that Knives freaks out over something happening to his body is when his hair starts to turn black. That's a completely mundane thing. You know, hair changing color, I mean, it happens to people all the time. It's not even really a physical transformation. It's more of a cosmetic alteration. But Knives has a strong adverse reaction to this because it's an indication that his power is waning, that him at the height of his power is temporary. His planthood is threatened. Hair turning black means turning more human, and Knives has never, ever, ever wanted to be human. Vash never makes any remarks on his own hair turning black, even though he knows what that means for him. And I think it's just because he's accepted his mortality, and not necessarily in a healthy way. At times he thinks it would be better for him never to have been born. I think at times he thinks it would be a blessing to no longer be a plant. But Knives can't stand this because he didn't choose it, because he didn't know it would happen. He didn't realize that would be the effects of using his power. He didn't realize that would be the effect of forcing Vash into using his power. And Vash's own unwillingness to explore his planthood is a hindrance. In Trimax Chapter 4, he is scared of Knives, scared of falling back into the hands of Knives, because Knives knows secrets about his body that even he doesn't know. And Vash isn't exactly willing to try things, to experiment with his power, to try to learn about this part of himself. It's not something he struggles with. It's something he refuses to work through. It's a door that he won't even open. Even though there could be very valid reasons for him to work on this. You know, if he were to think, if I experiment a little bit with my plant powers, maybe I can save more people. But he just can't entertain that. That section of him is locked off in his mind. He does eventually start figuring things out on his own, a little bit at the end when he makes the bullets out of his plant powers. But that is something external to him. He is putting his powers into something else, into his weapon that he can control. He will not let it come out of him, come out of his body, because he may not have control over that, but he can control when he pulls the trigger. And then he never gets the chance to experiment any further again, because after that his powers are gone. And so I think that's what it really comes down to for the both of them, for Vash and for Knives, is it comes down to control. Knives is in total control of all his action, all his body. He can move it and morph it and heal it and join it with the other plants, and doesn't mind taking a bunch of damage because he can very easily recover from that. So wounding isn't body horror. He can bounce back from that. He can control it. Vash, on the other hand, completely lacks all control when it comes to his body and his powers. His feathers come out when he's in danger, when he experiences strong emotion, when he's drunk, all areas of lesser control. And so he just shuts it down and refuses to engage. So the TLDR, despite Trigun's heavy use of body horror, especially with Knives and the plants, Knives does not view any of that as horror because he is secure in his existence as a plant and his control over that. The one thing that does freak him out is losing that power, losing that control. Vash doesn't know his body like Knives, can't control it, hates the way it's been used against him, so tries to do everything to suppress his plantness, to look and act as human as possible so that he has some sense of control over his body and what it does. Okay, this was very fun to think about and talk about. I look forward to comments and discussion from the audience. Anything I missed, anything I forgot to cover, any details or tangents related to this topic of control and body horror. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.